Restaurant Unstoppable. Inspire, empower, and transform the industry.
I'm loving this conversation, man. So I want to focus the rest of our conversation on Nourish, because that's your latest. So you have Kiwi Restaurant Partners.
Yep.
And then that's the mother company, and underneath that you have Nourish. And then you have I think 6 or 7 or 8 different brands that operate underneath that. But what is Nourish? When did the idea for Nourish first bubble up?
Yep. About 4 years ago, and here we are in 2022. So in late 2017, early 2018, I had an idea for a restaurant concept called Sandwich, SNDWCH, so sandwich without the vowels. And I, through our consulting practice, we had met a founder of a one-unit test concept called Manjo Organics, and his vision for that concept and my vision for Sandwich were basically the same thing, but his was in a Southern Italian, Mediterranean, healthful diet, and mine was an American carvery sandwich. But we both had a lot of the same beliefs around regional, seasonal, sustainable, organic, known and direct source ingredients. And so we said, hey, what if we partnered? Now we have 2 brands. By the way, they both were black and white logos, and so many things were very well aligned. And I said, okay, now we have 2 brands. And then we met and started working with some other people who became partners through a variety of activities. Now we're getting this group together, and when I start sharing the story, they say, well, I have an idea, or let's think about how many different types of genres, can we create that can follow the same system and process and promise and brand statement. And ultimately, Nourish was the last thing we came up with as a name. We really built this platform idea organically. So we ended up with the core group of executives that you see on the website today, who all have built new concepts or turned around very large businesses across a variety of genres, across a variety of business service models. And we said, let's take that collective knowledge and say, what is the restaurant of the future, right? What matters? Let's learn from Shake Shack. Let's learn from Sweet Greens. Let's learn from Blaze growing really, really fast in a short period of time. Let's learn from where the consumer's going. What is the new thing? And this is all before the pandemic. And quite frankly, on February 14th, 2020, right before the big lockdowns, we did our first pitch for an investment. And people looked at us on that day like we had 7 heads. Wait. Automation, robotics, 8 concepts in one kitchen, and this was blowing people's minds, right? If you didn't know about Ghost Kitchens, which Massimo, the co-founder of Kitchen United, is on our team, and the first Kitchen United was open in Pasadena. If you had never experienced that, or some of this sounded really foreign, particularly to investors, right? Investment banks, et cetera, that weren't really looking at what the future models look like. So we said, we're going to build the model of the future that is both really pushing the envelope today, but that has built into it the ability to adapt and grow and change. We wanted interchangeability of brands. We wanted the adaption and adoption of new technologies, new systems, new venue models. And we said, well, what's the most unique way to come out of the gate? So we're actually very, very close to bringing the physical plant of this to fruition in the next couple of months. And we're starting with pod kitchens. So we're taking the idea of a converted shipping container. Now, they're purpose-built today. We're not converting shipping containers. We're building them from the ground up. But we're going to put 8 brands in one 685 square foot box. We're going to make that box as systematically sustainable from a timing and a process, but also from an environmental. We're at about 85% self-sustaining from an energy. So we're using solar, water evaporation, water recirculation and capture. We're using sustainable ingredients, all the promises that I laid out with regional, seasonal, sustainable, organic, direct, and known source where possible. We are building not only from the food perspective sustainability, but from the physical environment that we're creating. So we're a no gas, no hood required, although we'll have a recirculating hood for scrubbing out, carbons and things from the atmosphere. But we are all induction and combi-therm oven. We saute fresh to order. We don't have to pre-make and pre-cook the actual food. We're not rethermalizing, right? But we're using the technology today to make a fantastic ingredient shine and be as healthful as possible across multiple genres of cuisine. We have Italian and Asian and American barbecue and American carvery sandwich. We have Indian concept in non-nation. So we're going to bring all those together in one platform.
So back in 2017, 2018, was your thought process we're going to start with just digital? We want it to be this one location that our first storefront is just the digital storefront?
No.
Were you there yet, or did the pandemic help influence that approach?
No, at the outset, even pre-pandemic, and the pandemic has only proven our hypothesis and our theory, because so many people are doing so many pieces of this or combinations of this, and some people are doing a lot of them. No, our hypothesis and theory was we used the term venue agnostic. We were 100% venue agnostic from day one. That's why
What do you mean by that, venue agnostic?
we don't care where this goes. I can plug this in 365 square feet or 3,600 square feet or 30,000 square feet. I can make a food hall, and every brand can be a kiosk, which is sort of old school in my mind. It's not really the goal, but we can plug this in.
When you say this,
anywhere.
what do you mean?
Nourish. So a multi-brand, high technology, high sustainability, high healthfulness ingredient profile of brands in one spot. I mean, today most people are thinking of it as a micro food hall. One owner, one operator, one focus, everything going in the same direction with the same brand statement, the same belief system, the same vision and mission. We don't believe in, one building, 20 different operators, creating 60 different brands, et cetera. We want to have the control over the delivery of the entire system and the entire product. So we are built to evolve. We are going to build a fully robotic system. Today, we have the technology available to us.
The technology's there
to do
It's
it.
not a matter of when. It's a matter of, it is a matter of. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when.
Yep.
Like literally, all the technology that we need to execute what you're saying is around. It's here.
Yep.
It's just a matter of adoption.
Yep.
It's a matter of, I think, making it normal. But one of the things I'm curious about. So, you have all these concepts operating out of one physical 600 square foot box.
Mm-hmm.
I know that part of your plan is from what I understood, when you onboard a concept, the idea is, okay, we're going to start just with Ghost Kitchen to see if you can pick up with momentum with Ghost Kitchen and delivery only. If that works, we're going to move you into a food court model where we're giving you it's a semi brick and mortar situation. It's a step in the right direction to brick and mortar. If that continues to build momentum, then we're going to give you your own standalone brick and mortar.
Potentially, yeah. So we built it to allow for any single concept to graduate, right? To sort of self-proof. I think some concepts will find their lane and do very, very well in one or two types of venues or deliveries type models.
Avenues meaning delivery only, pickup only, sit down only. Like these are what you mean by avenues. Different forms of consuming. Or like whether you're trying to just grab and go, or if you want it delivered, or if you want to pick it up, or if you want to sit down. Those are what you mean by avenues.
Right. And I'll tell you some of the motivation too, not to be too earthy crunchy about it, but the reality is I live in a community in North Los Angeles County that's about to be fully built out. They're about to literally run out of land. So the last things are being built, the last strip mall, the last standalone restaurant buildings, et cetera. And in my community, in the last 2 years, all I've seen is scrape a pad, put up a Taco Bell, scrape a pad, put up another Starbucks, scrape a pad, put up another Popeyes. In one little half block street, there's this replication of these. The box is the same, right? They look identical. They just have a different skin on them. And I'm saying, look, how many people in one household all want Popeyes tonight? How many want, right? And so the idea of multi-brand is not new. It's definitely blown up in the pandemic. But how often am I going to go out of my way to go to a Sweet Greens or a Chop Stop for the salad, and then who's the vegan restaurant in this area, and really try to curate my culinary experience during the week every day? It's exhausting. I live it every day. My wife says, when is this thing going to be open in our neighborhood? I'm like, honey, very soon. But what we want to do is from a sustainability standpoint, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you have to get in a car or you have to order a delivery and you have to choose a single location, or if you choose multiples, it's multiple deliveries, and now you're just burning all kinds of fuels.
$50 later, and
let's consolidate this. Let's give what people what they want. Let's give them variety. Let's give them healthfulness within that variety. And let's be innovative. Let's change out brands. Let's change out the menu within brands on a structured rotation that will keep it interesting. But also let's do it in a very low impact way. What is the least impact we can make on the environment? The highest impact we can make on the farmer and rancher? How can we really help move the needle on people's health and give them better choices? Because those names of brands, look, I love a piece of fried chicken like anybody. I don't go to McDonald's. I don't go to Taco Bell necessarily. But I appreciate that, as a treat, as a unique, but on a daily when your only choice is literally Starbucks, Popeyes, Taco Bell, Panda Express, etc. Lots of fried, lots of oil, lots of fat, lots of, taking good ingredients and breaking them down to make them not so great for you.
30 years of leaning into quick and convenience in the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
We got ourselves in a really ugly place because
we think you can do craft.
Everything comes at a cost.
You can do craft fast. That's what we think. We think you can take high quality ingredients, treat them well, deliver them in a more healthful way, do it through lots of different types of cuisine genres that people are asking for, wanting, will learn and enjoy, and do them in one place so that there can be one order, multiple types of food for every family member, every person in the office, whatever that is, and do it in a high-tech, very convenient, very scalable way with the least impact on the environment.
Yeah.
Period.
So now I'm curious about logistics and how you're actually executing this. So you have upwards of 8 concepts in a 600, 700 square foot space. And at first thought, you're like, how can one small space handle so many different menus? But I'm curious, for each location, how many menu items are in each location?
Yeah,
or each brand.
Yep. So each brand is an average of 9 to 11 menu items. So they are consolidated, certainly, but the total mix is about 40 to 45 menu items between all the brands.
Well, that's where I was going with this, is the power of keeping one concept, one brand, simple, stupid, right?
Yep.
And when you only have 9 items on each menu, what's 9 times 8? 56, right? No, that's not right. 9 times 74? Wait, no, 72.
I'm not doing any math here.
Don't ask me to do math. This is embarrassing. But the idea is, you think about some older business models. Mexican restaurants come to mind, Italian restaurants come to mind, where you might have 150 options on that menu, and that's all coming out of one kitchen, right? So like the idea is like you're just taking these big. It's the same idea. It's like the same idea of how we were doing things, but you're slicing and dicing the offering, in conceptualizing the offering, and like you're taking sections of the menu, and now that becomes a whole concept.
Yeah, I think of it as distillation, concentration, right? I want to do the 8 or 10 best things I can do that are going to give the best representation of that genre or that concept or that brand. And I want the option to change them as necessary, but I don't want the variety within that concept weighing down the entire system, right? From a logistical standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a waste standpoint. We don't want waste. If a menu item is not performing well, we're going to change it, right? Yeah. If a brand is not doing well, we're going to change it. We don't want food waste. We don't want energy waste. We don't want to force something. And the beauty of this is that, nowadays, a concept is turned on and exists when it has a website, it's plugged onto your app, and it's in your point of sale, right? If you can run an ad on Facebook with a logo, you have a new concept. And so you can go live as long as the food's there.
So one of the other thoughts I have is in how you're executing this idea. I'm assuming that you're utilizing a lot of the same ingredients. You're cross utilizing the same ingredients in different concepts.
That's correct.
So, any advice on like how to do that well without how do you execute that and make it feel different?
Chicken is chicken unless it's different parts of the chicken. But You know, everything starts with the menu. Whether it's old school or not, you design a restaurant around the menu. The menu dictates a lot of things, and you start with the menu. So when we start with a menu, we go big. We're like, hey, what are all the possibilities here? What are all the unique regionality dialects of this food that we can? Let's go big, and then you pare it down. And when you get down to, let's say your goal is 10 menu items and you're sitting on 18 that you think all are amazing. Well, number one, you can rotate those in over time. That's great. So nobody has to lose out. But in looking at the ingredient profile, anytime you have a menu item, this is true for any restaurant. This is consulting 101, right? If you have any single menu item that is utilizing one or more ingredients that are only served in that menu item, you need to ask whether that menu item really has the value that you need it to, because those are items you're spending money on that there's going to be waste on, and if you don't pull that through on fast enough and in a timely enough manner that those ingredients themselves don't go bad, whatever the life shelf span and all that is, then that menu item may not have the value that you need it to be, and it may be dragging you down, financially. And certainly then also you look at the exact same scenario around prep, around time. How much time and energy does it take to make that one ingredient work within that one dish? And again, is that worth it? Because we really have to consider the amount of time and money, especially as labor is rightfully becoming more expensive. You have to think it. So you take each one of these sort of buckets across the whole impact. How does this collection of ingredients to make a menu item impact everything from workflow and prep timing and cost and product cost, et cetera? How does that all play, and then what can you charge for that item, and how many of those are you going to sell? And then you actually have to use real data, and if you're not looking at your P mix or your menu mix report, and you're not looking at your sales by half hour by menu item and by genre of the menu and by the brand on a pretty regular basis, at least monthly. For us, it's weekly. If you're not really analyzing that deep, that often, then you're allowing for waste. You're spending money and time and energy that may not have the value you think it does.
So aside from the conveniences to the consumer, which you pointed out, you believe the future is one household is going to want to order from 5 different concepts, and they want to have it delivered at once.
Correct.
Right? That's kind of like the market you're going after.
Correct.
I understood that correctly. So what are the operational, as far as cost analysis, as far as like what is it that's so appealing about this business model? Like, where are you making up loss, I guess is where I'm going. Like what are your percentages? How do you cut it up? What are your labor costs?
Yep.
What are your operational costs?
Yep.
Like what does this look like?
So we do it with a maximum of 4 humans per
Okay.
shift, on average 3. And so our labor costs are much lower than most. They're in the low to mid 20s. We consolidate our prep. So we do utilize a lot of ingredients just in different ways. And so we consolidate our prep through commissary. We outsource a fair bit of that as well.
So the idea of this is like, basically, say you need carrots. You're going to process a bunch of carrots, and then
so most
you're
restaurants
going to take those carrots and they're going to go into different homes.
Think about that. Most restaurants are going to have to buy a case of something. That's the minimum purchase size, is a case. Within that case, how much of that is viable for what you're doing with it? You take that off the top, and then you process that for one dish or 5 dishes. It doesn't matter what a traditional restaurant's doing. And then you hope to sell enough of those that when you have to cut more carrots tomorrow, you can either reutilize yesterday's carrots or you can't. So what we're saying is, how concentrated, how distilled, how many ways can we use that carrot that makes sense? And if it isn't going to, if we're not going to go through that case inside of its shelf life value, then is it really the right ingredient, and does that need to be in here? Now, the seasonality really helps with that, right? Seasonal ingredients you can get in smaller batches, you can get more frequently if you're buying them from farmers markets or regional farmers. You have a little bit more flexibility in that wasteful side of the business. But yeah, and by the way, to the point you made about multiple brands on one, everybody in the house gets what they want. Yes. But take that another step further is as a society, we also want to get our milk and diapers at the same time and in the same delivery. We want to get our pharmacy because, I got to get in the car and I got to drive to the pharmacy. I got to drive to the grocery store. I got to, it's an hour and 15 minute tour at 6 o'clock or 5:30 when I get off of work, and the kids are screaming, husband's hangry. I got to get all this done and get home. And so we make kind of bad choices in that pressure pot, right? And so we think that not only as a standalone adjacent to all these other things you need, but we know for a fact that installed as a part of that total solution package, whether it's inside of a grocery or inside of a large retailer like a Walmart, we know there is consolidation in this entire ecosystem, and whether that is in a retail visible physical presentation you can go experience yourself in person, or whether that's just within a mile of every household in America and it doesn't matter what the venue is. And that's why we say venue agnostic. My goal is when we're at a point where I can do it just to say we did it, is I'm going to put a Nourish on an airplane. I'm going to put it on an Emirates, or because that's the kind of business it's probably, or I'm hoping Richard Branson and I become good friends, and we put it on a
Richard,
Virgin.
or if you're listening,
Yeah, let's put a Nourish.
Troy wants to talk.
Let's put a Nourish kitchen and cook fresh food on an aircraft, because hey, no gas, no oil, no flame, low possibility of flame. So let's figure out how we can do that, Richard. But that's the point, though, is that this could be anywhere, in any venue presentation, in any collaborative collection of any set of brands.
So you're looking to put a Nourish in a box, like a storage container, or at a Walmart, or at a gas station, or at an airport, and you can plug and play this thing anywhere. Is what
Anywhere.
You're saying. And the convenience is now if somebody orders Nourish but they also want diapers, it's all coming from the same place. That's
Correct.
kind of the thought process. One of the things you pointed out, I kind of want to get back. So I'm kind of assuming, based off of what I've learned, is that where Nourish is going to thrive is in cutting down on labor expense, because you're utilizing 4 people in 8 concepts at once. You're also looking to really lean heavy into technology,
Right,
and robotics, and just the digital technology that's happening. So if a standard labor expense is, say, 30%, like what, or 35%, like what is your labor expense?
Yeah, low to mid 20s.
Okay.
Because look, no matter what brick and mortar business you're running, a lot of fast food and others, they overstaff because of daily attrition, daily no shows and call outs and things like this. But for us, when you have a limited ingredient profile, you use multi-use utilization of a limited number of ingredients, you really reduce prep. If we outsource a fair bit of that prep to consolidate, or we do a lot of that prep centrally commissary wise, so we can do a lot of locations with the same labor.
Yeah.
You're not replicating that labor every location. That's really the inefficiency that most restaurants are subject to today, which Ghost Kitchens has been as a model, has been kind of this theory and test place. There are people that pay to be in a ghost kitchen just to use it as commissary. Great. If it can have a point of access and we can do delivery out of there and we do some sales out of there, great. But a lot of people have looked for these environments to start to consolidate. If you've got 3, 4, 5 restaurants, there's absolutely no reason to replicate the entire human capital system in every restaurant.
Yeah. So if you're making up 10 to 15 points on labor, where is that going? Is that going towards the higher cost of using organic ingredients? Is some of it going there, or is it going to a lot of that going towards profit?
So we're certainly reinvesting, right? Our promise is, one of our big promises is that we want to put cleaner, healthier food options closer to more people that don't have them. And in my community, it is quite an upscale, affluent type suburban community. And the fact that our choices are fried food and Taco Bell, or fried chicken and Taco Bell, we know that higher quality, accessible, healthful foods are not available in a lot of lower income communities that, or remote communities that just they're not giving those choices. They really is the Sonic or Rally's or whatever is the only sort of restaurant within miles that's not a mom and pop, Mexican or Italian restaurant. Excuse me. So we actually are going to be reinvesting those, what we'll call them excessive profits, those additional profits above the normal traditional model, in putting Nourish locations in those communities and using them as a platform to raise the community, not just provide better, healthier, cleaner food to more people, but to actually use them as an educational platform, to use them as a transformational platform to give new skills to those communities. And that's true for anywhere. We intend to do that. One thing we haven't talked about, it's not really overtly obvious in our system, is that we're leaning heavily into vertical farming. So we've partnered with both Babylon Farms and Freight Farms to either containerize vertical farms on site with our pod kitchen model, or to have scalable vertical farms within a brick and mortar or a central commissary where we're actually growing a lot of our own leafy greens and some of our vegetables. And so we want to use that also as a platform for educational. It's all the stems, right? It is algorithms with the app, but it is understanding growth, rotation, and planting and water and hydroponics, et cetera, aeroponics, all of those elements. Those are all pieces of opportunity to share and educate the community, your consumer, but also kids within the community, and do skills upskilling and retraining for new jobs. And so we see it as a really mission-driven platform to transform all communities. And if it will work in that community and a high affluent suburban community with poor food options, it can really work anywhere. And the scalability of the platform allows us to go wherever it is needed at the end of the day.